Welcome to the circus. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Okay, we're coming down to the wire on the small scale group build. This is where I'm at right now. A lot of touch-up painting still needs to be done, and this is actually just mocked up right now. And thankfully it is, because I just realized that I need to do some painting under the bottom too. I know you're not really going to see much of the bottom on this thing because of the way this kit is made, but I do want to cover up some of that bottom. I don't know if I'm going to put some sheet plastic over it or just paint this part black. The real problem is all the blue that you can see through in the front here, or I'm afraid you might be able to see from the front, because there is no real firewall in place, which I kind of knew but wasn't really paying attention to. I'm debating on if I'm going to use this radiator. If I am, I'm going to fill it in and put a new radiator in place, or if I'm going to use this radiator, which did okay with the black paint, filling it in and everything. But I kind of like this radiator better, so I'm thinking I might get a piece of screen or something, fill this in so it'll look more like a radiator. I know I could leave it open. What I'm trying to look at it as is a T.R.O.G racer, the Race of Gentlemen, and for a beach in the 1960s though. So all I'm going to do is put the 2-point roll bar on the back. I filled in the holes in the front here for the front windshield, the post there. I'm not worrying about making it any clearer. I think the weathering will take care of it, because this is going to get weathered. I took a 1/35 scale Jeep driver and stuck him behind the wheel. I had to do some major work on getting his body to fit. Hold on, let me get this body apart. Okay, into the 3 sub-assemblies. This is the frame and the engine and the wheels. I got a lot of touching up to do on here. It seems like I have not spent nearly as much time trying to get some detail into this, and I probably should have spent a little more time. But then I am getting a little rushed because I don't have as much build time as I wish I did. The wheels on this do not move well, and they're not going to move at all when I finish, because I am going to glue them in place. The body here, I will probably just use my dark green that I had and finish painting the bottom of this dark green. Paint the entire inside here dark green and the bottom dark green. It does not match the racing green on the outside. I've got some decals I'm going to slap on this thing too. There's the post holes. I could have filled those in a little bit better, but like I said, I'm not too concerned about it. Once the weathering is done, it'll be fine, I think. This is what I wanted to show you. I still got to finish whoops, steering wheel fell off. That's fine. I got to finish the dashboard. This is the guy, and so I cut his legs off. I had to bend them around, had to shave a lot of the legs off and everything else to get it in place. I had to fill in a big gap there for the milliput to get the body to actually fit into the seat as well. Put some goggles on his face so I don't have to worry about detailing his eyes or anything. I would have done a lot better weathering maybe if I would have had the time. I still got to do some trimming of flash on these hands. This is from the T.R.O.G Jeep, and this was the T.R.O.G Jeep driver. I had to completely readjust his legs all over the place to get it to fit into the seat. And I think you would need to be a contortionist to actually drive this real vehicle, because the floor here is just not low enough to get under the dash when you look at it here. Let's see here. See what you got there. You have well, maybe there's enough room, but I seriously doubt it. I don't think the bottom floor here is nearly deep enough. The cool thing is there is a hole here in the floor where the stick shift for the engine goes through. And what I'm going to do is once I get the body in place, the hand is right where the stick shift should go. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push the stick shift up through the floorboard and into his hand. So you'll see the stick shift into his hand that way. And what I'll do is I'm going to find something thin and chrome and just shove it in there. I was wondering what to do for a helmet, like some kind of racing helmet. So what I did was I grabbed a World War II German helmet, 1/35 scale. This figure is 1/35 scale, so he is small for this body. But I tell you what, he barely fits into it, so I'm okay with that. And what I did was I chromed the German helmet with a Molotov pen, so it'll look like one of those chrome surfer helmets of the time, you know, which was somewhat popular back in the 1960s, at least among the what would you call it, the motorcycle crowd and everything else. You know, you'd see it in the movies at least. So there you have it. That's the seat and everything. And next up, we'll have this thing put together, and we'll find out if I went with this radiator or if I managed to get the other radiator in place. But that's next shot. Should be all of this stuff taken care of in the completed kit. Okay, like many other people probably, you end up running out of time eventually, and there's other things you want to do, but you just don't have time to do it. And that's exactly what happened this weekend. So I'm going to have to call this done, and this is my entry for the small scale group build. It is the Super Roadster by Lindberg. It's 1/32 scale. It came in that kit that had both the Lucky Bucket and the Super Roadster in it. I opted to build the Super Roadster. Now the kit in general goes together all right. There are some definite issues with it in my book. One of them is the pipes here. The pipes have no locating pins. They just have kind of a spot where you got to put them. In order for you to do it properly, you would have to drill out some holes and put in some pins and get those pins to hook up right. I just glued them in place. It's running off of a small flathead. It's got 6 carbs on top. The motor is more or less okay. Bring it up a little closer. I did some, gave it a wash of black over the chrome, which dulled it a little bit and also gave a little bit more detail showing on it. Also wash over the engine and all the other bottom of it. If you recall, you could see everything before with that big bright blue on the bottom. Well, that's all been darkened with the dark green and everything, so that kind of makes it a little cleaner on the bottom than it was before. Engine went together all right. The body, actually the seat is still just snapped in there. It is holding so well, just snapped in there. So if I do want to try and work a little bit more with it, I can later. Where I'm not at all happy is with the front grille. Just kind of glues in place, and it really sits a lot lower than what I wanted to do. What I'm probably going to do is take that grille off eventually and use this grill, but if I use this grill, it's actually hitting the ground because of for whatever reason, especially if you try and hook it onto the top of the hood here. That hood, I'm not too crazy about it, but the hood actually hides the lack of detail down below. You can actually see daylight through the side, so if I were to rebuild this thing again, I would probably put in a proper firewall, which the kit is lacking. What I was trying to do with the kit is turn it into basically a T.R.O.G racer, the race of gentlemen. They do couple different kinds of racing. They race on a strip, and they also race on a beach. I think it's an 8th-mile run on a beach. And I've noticed a lot of those T.R.O.G racers do not have a windshield. They have no lights or anything else. So I stripped everything off of this that could be stripped off of it. I put on the 2-point roll bar. And as you can tell from the height of that 2-point roll bar, man, if this thing flips, that guy's toast. That roll bar is not going to help a whole lot. The figure I mentioned before already, he's got a German helmet on it that's been Molotoved. I put a second coat on it, so it's a better coating. He's got a pair of goggles on there. He's a 1/35th scale Jeep driver. He barely fits in there. I had to chop his legs to pieces just to get him under there. As far as I'm concerned, that part of this build of that kit, the interior, is really not up to scale. It just doesn't feel like it's up to scale or in the proper scale. It's almost like you've got a 1/32nd scale kit with a 1/40th scale interior going on. Could be wrong, but that's just the way it feels. I was going to use different decals, but they just weren't working right, so I ended up putting a star on the back. I figured it's all nice and green, so that'll be nice. The reason the number 24 is on the side is because I am entering into the scale model of Gentleman group build, and I will be number 24 in there. And so I just said, well, what the heck, I'm going to be 24 in that one. I'll need to be 24 on that model. And so that's where I went with that. And I plan on building probably either a Model A or a Model T in that group. There's a few other things that need to be done with it. One thing I did notice when I was building this one was I kind of dug the way the flathead looks. So I was thinking originally with the other kit that I'll be building later, I was thinking of actually using a straight 6, but I think I'm going to go with a flathead mill in the next group build. But in any case, I should be talking about this group build now. I had planned on weathering this, but I don't know the way I want to weather it yet. And I don't want to bother with the weathering until I get this grill figured out. I guess some people might like that grill, but I don't know. It just didn't work. And I do want a proper radiator. So what I think I'm going to do, and this is just something that'll show up later, is I'm thinking about cutting this grill down, or the frame down, put another radiator in there, and then mount that in the front. So it'll be a smaller oval here up front instead of what we got there. Any case, one of the things I did do with the front here is this was the unaltered top. I cut the headlights off of it and then weathered it a bit. I like that front better. Let's see if I can get some better light in there so you can see it. Let's see here now. It did look pretty good. Again, the coat of black, of a nice black wash, it brought out a lot of the detail in the chrome, and so I was pretty happy with that. All in all, I'm happy with it. I can understand why people have gone with tires out of the junk box instead of using the ones that come with the kit. The kit tires pretty much suck. I did what I could with them, but if I were to redo this, I would probably end up changing the tires as well. But I do like the hubcaps. Really nice hubcaps on there. I guess I've rambled enough, and well, let's do some slides. Thank you for visiting Toby's Blue Bomber Circus. If you liked what you saw, please consider giving it a thumbs up, sharing it with your friends, leaving a comment, and subscribe and ring that notification bell. Really do appreciate it. Thanks again.